Progress.
Hi, my dear Astro family. Today we are going to be looking at Mercury retrograde in the sign of Aries. That is going to be starting on the 1st of April. But actually, Mercury is going to go into the shadow zone on 18th of March. So that's why I'm making this video ahead. Now, if you would like to get to know your 12th house a little bit better, I am launching a new course starting early April. And we're going to be looking at all the signs on the 12th house cusp, all the planets in the 12th house cusp, the ruler of your 12th house cusp, so you can become the master of your own 12th house. If this is something that you are interested in, then I recommend checking this course out on my website, AstroViktor.com. Now, let's get started with this Mercury retrograde. And I will be breaking this down for all the 12 signs as well. So if you would like to join my membership program, then you can choose between 3 tiers and you will get extra 10 videos a month. But let's get the technicality out of the way first. So Mercury retrograde, well, one very important thing I would like to start with when it comes to Mercury retrograde. It repeats an 11-month cycle. So Mercury retrograde is going to be starting on 1st of April on 27 degree of Aries. And 11 months before, that's where Mercury finished its retrograde cycle. So last year, sometimes in April, May, Mercury started its retrograde motion on 15 degree of Taurus, and it went back to 27 degree of Aries. So you will see always these repetitions with Mercury retrograde. This year, all the Mercury retrogrades are going to be happening in fire signs. So your fire signs are really connected this year, and you're going to have to somehow combine them all to have a better understanding what to expect. So I'm going to give you all the Mercury retrograde dates for this year. So we had one December 13th, 2023 to January 1st, 2024. Mercury retrograde happened in the sign of Sagittarius. Then we've got now the April 1st to April 24th, and it's happening in the sign of Aries. And then we're going to have one in August 4th till August 27th, 2024, Mercury retrograde in the sign of Leo. And then we've got one more at the end of the year from 25th of November till 15th of December. And Mercury will retrograde again in the sign of Sagittarius. So you can again see that December 2023 and November and December 2024 are actually connected because they are in the sign of Sagittarius. So if you want to have a better understanding of what to expect from this retrograde, the upcoming retrograde, you might want to think back what was going on in your life in 2023, approximately in May. So for example, in 2023, May, actually, I purchased a home in Thailand, and I was doing some fitness retreat. And interestingly enough, I'm going back on 30th of March to do a fitness retreat again. So I'm going to be probably repeating some of the themes. And I clearly remember that May was a pivotal moment for me because that's when actually the 3rd weight loss journey started for me. And I started shedding some really nice kilos. And I remember that a couple of months, I managed to lose 15 kilos. Now, this time around, I do not want to go back to lose weight. I'm going to go there to actually grow some muscles. And that's actually brilliant for Mercury in the sign of Aries, which could represent someone who is a little bit sportier. But I'm going to be breaking this down for you. Now, because last year the retrograde started in the sign of Taurus, which is a food sign, what we put into our mouth, and then it went back into the sign of Aries. By the end of it, I should have been pretty much fine and then start building some muscles up. And actually, this is exactly what happened. It became visible that I have leaned down and then my muscles started growing. Okay, so these are the 4 dates of the retrograde Mercury this year. But the shadow period of Mercury starts on 18th of March on 15th degree of Aries. And then you will see that it's moving forward, and the retrograde is going to start on 27th degree of Aries a little bit later on the 1st of April, and then slowly it's going to start moving backwards. And it's going to be making a cazimi on 22 degree of Aries. A cazimi is when the Sun and Mercury are in conjunction. So basically that's the rebirth of Mercury. So I'm giving you these degrees because these are very important. So remember the 15 degree Aries, the 27 degree Aries, the 22 degree of Aries. And then the whole shadow period of Mercury is going to be ending on 13th of May, when Mercury gets back onto its 27 degree, and then a couple of days later, actually, it's going to be leaving the sign, and it's going to move into the sign of Taurus. Now, this Mercury retrograde is quite an important one because it's going to be featuring a couple of very interesting things. One of them is the upcoming eclipses, and the other one is the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Why is that? Because the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is going to be happening in the sign of Taurus on the 19th, 20th of April. And exactly on that day, Mercury is going to be making a conjunction to Venus as well. And Venus is the dispositor of Uranus and Jupiter conjunction. So we've got some very, very interesting thing to mention about this. Also, the reason why you want to be remembering these degrees, especially the 27 degree of Aries, for example, because that's when Mercury is going to be stationary. And the stationary planets are a lot more powerful. Now, I would like to mention that there is no such thing as planets are moving backwards. It's an optical illusion. But it looks like the planet is standing on one point. So if you have got any planets, especially on 27 degree of the cardinal signs, which are Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn, then this is a very important Mercury retrograde period for you. You might want to be giving plus minus 3 degrees, but really the 27 degree of the cardinal signs are charged up significantly. And you can look at your solar arc planets, you can look at your progress planets, you can look at your natal chart as well, of course. So, but let's break down what this Mercury, or how Mercury is acting in the sign of Aries. So the major topics of Mercury is the way how you communicate. This is the messenger. We tend to be negotiating with Mercury, selling, buying. It's your learning style. It's your rational voice. It's how you speak, what your experiences are with your siblings and the neighborhood. This is a trickster type of energy. And it's also very funny that it happens on the 1st of April, which is April's Fools. Right? So it's very possible that, you know, you make a little bit of a prank on someone and the reaction is going to be quite dramatic with that. With Mercury, this is non-binary planet, and Aries is quite a sexual sign. So probably we're going to see a lot of, you know, topics again about non-binary people and so forth. And because this Mercury is going to be taking place actually on the term of Mars as well. Now, the term is an essential dignity table. This is one of the minor dignities of the planet. So this Mercury is really Marsian flavored. And Mars is all about fights, guns, and impulsiveness, and it can become very passionate and so forth. But we're going to break it down for you. So Mercury is all about, actually it represents the threshold, the in-betweens, such as, you know, the doorstep, for example, but also it's something to do with courses and short journeys as well. And even in ancient astrology, it represented dreams as well. Mercury, Hermes, was the god of dreams. He had the ability to travel between 2 dimensions, and that was the underworld as well as the sky at the same time. So because Mercury is making 22 conjunctions, 22 inferior conjunctions in every 7 years, and then it starts repeating. It's kind of like a sacred journey of Mercury between these underworld as well as the sky. And then if you think about that, we have got, you know, I mean, you can even bring it together with the tarot cards as well. So Mercury, who has got the ability to spot patterns, therefore, when it comes to such things as tarot card readings, then you know what I'm going to say. I think Mercury is a very prominent planet when it comes to having the ability to translate some of the messages through cards and astrology and so forth into reality. But let's look at Mercury in the sign of Aries. So first of all, one other thing, sorry, the retrograde, pretty much about internalization. It represents the having to revisit a topic in our life. So first of all, what house does it fall in your chart? And that's the area of life where you might need to be revisiting your communication style, which can be quite aggressive, overbearing, or stimulating in the sign of Aries. And the highest manifestation would be being inspiring or being inspired by something, wanting to awaken people for new perspectives. This is asking you to know what style you speak to people. And it is telling you to watch out because it's very easy to hurt other people's feelings because you're going to become quite blunt during this Mercury retrograde. But also, Mercury represents reaction as well. And from a reaction point of view, Mercury here is quite alert. It's detect bullshit, and you can call out on that too. And of course, it can make others very sensitive. It's kind of like whatever is on the tip of your tongue is just going to be flying out of your mouth. But also, I've noticed with Mercury in the sign of Aries that sound become extremely important for people. That's why Mercury, who is engineering, so it could represent someone who is a sound engineer. But what it means during this retrogression, the sound itself, someone who is going to be reading the body language and maybe their reaction, it's going to be a little bit floppy. Or the sound also represents the listening skills as well. So this wants you to listen to your gut feelings, listen to others as well, maybe count to 10 before actually you open your mouth. But Mercury in Aries is going to tell off people very quickly. Often actually they believe that they are a lot cleverer than others. This is an adventurer, Mercury who loves traveling, and then Aries, what it does is it's kind of itchy, itchy at the bum, and then it's always on the go somehow. Also, one of the other things which might be important with this constellation is that it's very easy to overlook important details or information because you can become very passionate about studying, you can become very passionate about getting a piece of information you need. I also call Mercury in Aries kind of like a little bit of a loud mouth. Sometimes, we raise the voice, but it's not necessarily someone who wants to hurt others. Now, of course, this is happening on the relationship axis. And then, as I said, it's going to be making a conjunction to Venus as well on the day of Jupiter and Uranus conjunction. So surely it's going to be bringing in the topics of relationship and finances into this Mercury retrograde. And this could indicate that, we become very passionate about investments, for example, or when it comes to relationship, the smallest little thing can lead to an argument or debate with other people as well, probably because we don't see eye to eye. Mercury in Aries has got the ability to say the wrong thing at the wrong time, or your tone of voice can become quite harsh as well. Now, of course, it really depends on, with Mercury, always look at where your sun sign is. Because, for example, let's say that you've got Mercury in the sign of Aries natally, the sun actually can be somewhere in the sign of Taurus or Pisces. So when the sun is in the sign of Pisces, but Mercury is in the sign of Aries, pretty much that's kind of like a dog that barks but does not bite. However, when you have got the sun in the sign of Aries as well, you know what, that dog is going to bite as well. And this time around, the Kazimi is going to be happening, of course. So Mercury moves into the sign of Aries, and then shortly after, the sun is going to be moving into the sign of Aries as well. So, but this could talk to you about doing some type of sport, typically something speedier, so such as running and you know, just kind of like being an athlete. It could represent that you're gonna learn a lot faster. You have got good memories. You know, this is very much about the nerve kicks in. And when there is kind of like a little bit of a dangerous situation, that the real problem solver comes out of your body. One of the things that Mercury in Aries need to learn is actually patience. Remember that the detrimental ruler of Aries is Saturn. So because Saturn is going to be in the sign of Pisces during this period, which will talk to us about, you know what, a little bit contemplation, working on our fears, letting go of our fears. But Mercury is in the sign of Aries, who is reacting to all these fears and closures with a bang. So it might not be able to understand why certain things are coming to an end. Mercury represents your way of thinking. So the thinking is really kind of fired up here. So the way how you think might become quite rapid, but you can have loads of original ideas. You can become quite impulsive when it comes to a decision making. And maybe because you have to make the decision really quickly, maybe it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, but Mercury is retrograde. So it is asking you to slow down, at least step back a little bit and reassess the situation, or you're going to push yourself into quite a dangerous situation. Also, Mercury in Aries has got that discontinuous thinking or making conclusions really quickly. The thoughts are quite undisciplined there, and we can become quite hot-headed as well, though. But you have got that daring mindset. It can indicate that, you know, the youth are going to be somehow on the street, for example, demonstrating, or you become a pioneer of the youth as well. You might be speaking up about something that you are truly passionate about, or you might be complaining when you don't get what you want. Now, Mercury represents the toddlers. Aries is very much of a childlike energy as well. So it's kind of like, you know, hitting the floor when I don't get what I want. It comes, of course, with an element of an impatient as well. But the good side about Mercury in Aries is that we are having an argument and then we tend to forget about it quite quickly and then we just move on. But this Mercury is retrograde and it's going to be actually meeting the North Node 3 times. The Mercury retrograde pretty much starts really close to Chiron, which is telling you that the next couple of months, it's all about healing the way you think, the healing of what you think about yourself as well. It's a little bit of a programming, the need to program yourself about entitlement, that I am entitled to be happy. I'm entitled to have money. I'm entitled to have fun in my life, and all those type of scripts that you might have created in the last 11 months in your own head. This is about Mercury in an Aries can actually represent someone who is quick on their toes. So like kind of like becoming a stand-up comedian as well. Obviously, because you're going to have to react to a comment really quickly. But I often experience with Mercury in Aries that bully comes into the picture as well. And therefore, there is an element of an anger within yourself that you're going to have to work through. It could indicate that you might have grown up with angry parents, or even there was domestic violence. And this time around, you might be witnessing some type of domestic violence. People are getting attacked, not necessarily physically, but verbally for sure. Even the physical part, unfortunately, can happen as well, because Aries is all about, you know, clenching the face and then punching the face when I feel somehow unprotected or insecure about myself. Especially But, also Mercury in the sign of Aries is really good at, they love it when they are intellectually challenged. This could talk to you about crash courses that you can take, for example, or it could talk to you about, driving fast, for example, and then you're going to get a bit of a, like a ticket, or road rage is a very Mercury and Aries combination as well. And then we just, honking all the time and so forth. Again, the element of an impatience come with this. But you can have loads of ideas. But this Mercury is telling you not to step on them immediately. Reassess your opportunities, pick the right one. I wouldn't say that you're going to have to wait until the end of the shadow period, and all those type of things. It's just about contemplating a little bit on that. It could also indicate that you have got loads of things on your plate, but are you really able to multitask? Because Mercury in Aries, it might be able to focus on one thing at a time properly. And when it comes to emotional situations, but especially on emotional matters, Mercury in Aries is not able to concentrate on something else at the same time. You might start thinking a little bit more about what is going on in your life, rather than what is happening in other people's life. You might be extremely optimistic or completely pessimistic, but this is about 100% optimism or 100% pessimism. Usually there is no golden way here. And therefore, you might need to be healing with that Mercury and Chiron conjunction the way you actually programmed. It might be, you might notice that people are going to be swearing a lot more, especially the younger generation with Mercury in Aries tend to do that. Once we start growing up, we probably grow this out as well. By the way, I would like to mention that Aries is the most logical of all the fire signs, though. Okay, so they are really fast to grasp the idea behind something. And once they have made their mind up about something, they hardly want to change their mind, though. I think the biggest lesson of Mercury in the sign of Aries is to listen to other people. You need to hear what they are saying and be ready to change your mind if their arguments are stronger than yours. Also, you need to slow down and pay attention to the details, which particularly you don't like, I guess. And yeah, these are the most important features of Mercury in the sign of Aries. It could also represent that you're going to be talking a lot faster. I mean, in natal chart, this could indicate actually speech problems or grammar problems, because what happens is that the words cannot catch up with you, or basically your mouth cannot catch up with the words what you've got on your mind, because the mind might wander around quite quickly as well. Now, if you've got Saturn or Venus aspect to this Mercury, for example, then it can slow that down. I'm guessing in the world we're going to see some debates happening, maybe some threats as well, or maybe there is going to be a very shocking announcement happening in the world, probably about banking systems, or probably about cryptocurrencies and all these type of things. If you have got Mercury in Aries or a child, then those people need loads of physical education and probably loads of pictures as well. Mercury in Aries has got that competitive nature. They are great strategists, but they are not always sticking to it. They can explain extremely well and in a very simple way as well. And probably they have got loads of catchphrases too. Also, this Mercury in Aries can represent some type of sexual scandal that might be coming up in the world. As I said, Mercury is kind of like the non-binary type of energy. So probably there is going to be a lot of talk again about this, or or you know, when it comes to that intimacy, and or probably, unfortunately, we're going to hear news about, you know, a school kid with a teacher and all this type of stuff, which I know we people tend to be very sensitive about, but most likely this is going to be happening. So going back to that Mercury and Chiron conjunction, because that's going to be very important. It could also indicate such things as that it's time, for example, to heal some of your trauma around your siblings, if you had sibling rivalries going on, but maybe some of the issues that you're going to have to revisit. For example, when it comes to your neighbors or just some of your relatives. But most importantly, you're going to have to look at your own traumas. Remember that Chiron is about rejection. Chiron is about abandonment, your childhood wounds. So this is inviting you to go now on a self-discovery journey. And maybe this is telling you that it's actually time to speak up, the time to speak about all the hurtful feelings, what you had. It could also indicate that the mind needs to be healed. So do I have a positive mindset? Do I have a negative mindset? So this would be the upcoming Mercury retrograde. I hope you like this video, and if you did, please press like and subscribe to the channel. I noticed that at least about 55% of the viewers are not members of my family, and I would like you to join. And then if you press the notification bell, then you are not going to be missing any of my valuable videos. Have a great one, everyone, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.